There are 3 routines that are ran to determine who an enemy will target. The first one references a unique priority table based on the character's class. This can be 0, 25, 75, or 100. That specific value is then multiplied by 2. The second one accounts for distance between the enemy and their potential targets. Allies that are closer in proximity to the enemy will have their target priority increased. You can count the tiles from an enemy to your ally to determine the Z variable. I'm going to make a note of something for anyone with assembly expertise that goes poking around the Shining Force disassembly. Technically, there are 2 potential equations for this routine. There is a branch on less than or equal instruction, and if the branch conditions are not met, it is ignored and the final output of this calculation is multiplied by 4. There is no direct comparison value, and so far I haven't seen a situation where the required flags are set to meet the branch's conditions. If I do happen to figure out the purpose of this branch, I'll update with another video. Until then, we are going to ignore it and multiply by 4. Last but not least is an HP check. Cloud Carry brought it to my attention that many people speedrunning the game have noticed enemies frequently tend to target characters who have a higher percentage of current HP to maximum HP, rather than those with a lower percentage of HP. This is true. The equation for the HP check is written to actually prioritize attacking an ally with a higher percentage of health, instead of trying to specifically seek out low health allies. The outputs of these 3 routines are then added together, and the combined sum determines who the enemy will target based on whoever has the highest value. To count distance for the Z variable, it's as simple as this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So on and so forth. The values for the class table is on the right hand side, and I've already did all the calculations to find out who will be targeted. Once the goblin targets the top priority character, I'm going to reload a new clip where I've reduced that top priority character to 1 health, which will bump them down accordingly to provide a new target for the goblin. And this part is quite interesting. If you were to then block off the enemy's priority target, what should happen is it should just move to the next one based on the calculations. This is bugged, and instead it seems to think it can still reach max, so it will path out the same movement string. The enemy will then attack the first ally that is blocking them from their priority target based on the movement string it creates. Or if a fellow monster is blocking their target and there are no allies in range to attack once it reaches the end of their path, they won't attack anyone, as you've seen with that goblin in the last clip. Once an enemy does reach the end of their movement path and there is more than 1 ally in range to attack, it will then apply the target calculations to these characters, but it will avoid everybody else. And this is what happens in the Kayn fight by setting up a situation where Kayn prioritizes Domingo over Pele. It tries to reach Domingo regardless, but can't because the enemy is blocking his path. Naturally, if Domingo's health is too low and Pele's is too high, it will prioritize Pele over Domingo. You also may have noticed in scenarios where Kayn will just move 1 tile away randomly and do nothing. This is him rolling a 25% chance to use D-Soul with his Sword of Darkness, but it also seems to be bugged. For whatever reason, it seems to give him a movement string to move 1 tile and then cast his Sword of Darkness. It defaults to him moving to the right as long as nobody is blocking him from moving in that direction. If they are, he will move in a different direction. Once he moves his 1 tile, if anyone is now standing in his melee range, he will cast his D-Soul on them. If you happen to box him in entirely so he can't move, he will default to using his target priority to cast his D-Soul. And that concludes the target calculations of Shining Force 1's AI engine.